Hello, I'm David, the Vice President of the University of Brighton Mantell Geological Society, and today I'm going to be doing a run-through of Sedlog 3.0. This is a shareware produced by the Royal Holloway University of London, which is accessible to anyone, downloadable online. The link will be on the description in the YouTube video. I've created a generalised fictional cyclothem for this. There's no coal in Brighton for everyone who's ever wondered. I've done this to illustrate the main features of what this program can do. So yes, let's move on to building it. It's important to note that this starts with the lowest bed first, so you always put that one on and then build up your heights. Okay? So the first bed we're going to add is going to be the coal bed. You can either do this through the edit window, where you can add the bed, or the hotkey, or there's a nice little button on the toolbar here. It's important to note that the thickness is in centimetres, so don't put 1.2 in because it won't work with your scale. 1.2 metres. I will go more into how to get the notes, age and formation onto your log because it's not there by default. Forgive any spelling mistakes you might see. The lithology menu is not, not everything's where you might think it would be. I didn't think coal was in basic. I looked in specialist and other first, so just check around for what you want. It's probably hiding somewhere. Grain size is generalized as opposed to being in phi or millimeters. With the structures and fossils and stuff, you can either have it displayed in the grain size section, which is what this symbols in bed thing means, or you can have it in its own column. I'm going to display both for now with the plant material for this one. So it will come up tiled rather than one, because if you turn off tiled, it will just display one of that symbol. Press add. Go to fossils, and we shall have some more plant fossils for this. There we go. So yeah, that'll give you that in both the columns now. Yep. And there we go. Alright, that's the first bed done. I'm now going to add the second one, which will be a limestone. So with this limestone bed, you just click on add a bed again. Now, with the erosional, it's good to remember that this is the erosional base of the bed, so it doesn't mean that the bed itself has been eroded, it means this bed has eroded into the one down below it, as is evidenced by the coal clasts in this case. Oops. Yep. So this got a good selection of carbonates once it brings them up. And it does allow you to pick which different type of limestone that you could define in the field as opposed to the sparites or the micrites, which you need to be back in the lab for, really. This one will display the lithology in the symbols in the grain size bit, just to show you what that looks like. Pick one generally for whatever project you're doing it. Either do it with the symbols, nothing, or the lithology, and just stick with that. Is probably your best bet. Now this one has two different structures in it. It's going to have both gastropods and some interclasts. So that's already added that to the thing. Now you've got to press add again, and the gastropods will disappear, but don't worry, it will still turn up in the column, luckily. Again, it's to ignore this until it changes further on up the bed, just to save a bit of time and everything. Fascies I'll probably go into in possibly another video if anyone wants to know about that. Because I'm doing a coal cyclothem, it's basically one fascies anyway. So yeah, this should show you what this looks like. There we go, nice little bed there displaying that it's a grain, and it displays them both together. Okay, I'm now going to skip ahead a few and do some without recording, and just to save a bit of time until I get to the next important bit on this. So yes, I'll see you all in a minute. So here's the updated log. So I've got all this done so far. If you want, I'm now going to show you how to edit a bed you've already made, because I've got the height on this slightly wrong. So you just go in here and type in whatever you want to change within it. So yeah, I've played around a bit with the numbers since I showed you the log, but the data rather. But that's just to help display things better to you. You can make it grayed up or down using the top and bottom sets. So that gives you this nice appearance. And yep. So we're going to now add the next bed, which is another sandstone member. It's not a kilometre. No. Well, kilometre. And another basics. Little sandstone. You can just jump to wherever you want to go on this by using your keyboard. So type in M and it will jump to the first M it finds at the beginning of a category. This one is bioturbated, so we're going to add some minor bioturbation. The only real difference in the image between minor, moderate and intense is that there are more of the little squiggly S's. The main difference between this one and the other beds is that there's going to be a different formation. So this is going to be part of the upper Brighton coal measures. I'm going to define it by that by giving it a boundary line. Now I'm going to use a dotted line because later on I might want to add on top of it a large amount of chalk, which would be a very different formation. So for that I'd probably use a simple line to help define the difference. It's still part of the Carboniferous, so I'll leave that well alone. And yes, I think that's everything. No, it's not. I'm going to have to edit that and just use lithology. Keep everything nice and simple. So yeah, as you'll have noticed, this dotted line hasn't actually appeared, and that will appear when I play with the preferences later and show you how to make the age formation and notes appear. Okay, so that's that done. Next I'm going to show you is what two different lithologies looks like, as the next bed is a sandy shale. No? Yes, a sandy shale. Try saying that after a few shandies. Sounds do. I like the fact that you can choose up to 3. I'm going to choose a nice shale. Sandy shales by the seashore. Sandy shales by the seashore. That's a bit better. You can change the percentages. Since this is just made up, I'll make it, I don't know, 30% shale and 70% sandstone. Anything else important in this? Oh, and there was some trough cross bedding. Now, what I've noticed with this is that it uses very scientific versions of some of the, well, not very, it uses more scientific versions of the different sedimentary structures. So, planar cross bedding, trough cross bedding, which, yeah, I haven't heard it called that many other places, but I may just not have been reading the same books. So yeah, just the best way is probably just to look at the images when they come up. That's what I found anyway. You can just delete them, though if you're using more than one, you've got to be careful. More than one structure. You have got to be a bit careful. So, seeing as this is sandy, let's make it silty at the top. And a nice fine sand at the top. Oops, that's the wrong way around. Luckily there is a lot of play in this. So if I had gone through, I could just go back very easily. It's not like it's locking you in. So yeah, there's that. It gives you the hummocky-ness, and it gives you the different percentages of what's in each bed, not by height, which is quite nice, because that could lead to a little bit of confusion, but that's a nice little way of doing it, I think. So yeah. Right, I want to insert a bed in the middle of these two. How do I do that, you ask? Well, you go to the lower of the two, click on that, the Insert Bed button. It's that one there. That'll put it between the two, under the one you've highlighted. So that's what I want to be pressing actually. Again, it's in the edit panel. So I want to introduce another sandy bed, because who doesn't like sand? Well, I bet quite a lot of people don't like sand. Yeah, let's make it nice and simple. So yeah, there we go. Now you might notice that if you don't specify a boundary, it doesn't define one. This can get quite confusing if you do have lots of the same type, like I've got here. I've got 4 sandstones, one with a bit of shale in it. So I would recommend always putting in these base boundaries. Just makes it's another thing that makes it easier to read, which is probably the main point of using this over one that you've hand drawn, because this will generally appear a little bit easier to read, generally, especially if you've got messy handwriting like me. So yeah, that's all of that. I'm now going to skip ahead a bit and play around with this again, and I'll come back to you when I've got the next thing to show you, which will probably be right at the end, playing with the preferences and stuff. So yeah, I'll be back again in a minute. Right, so here we are with the finished log, the whole cycle them from top to bottom, coal to coal. There we go, that's all looking nice. I'm just going to show you something that I neglected to earlier. You can see what structures and fossils you have put into each. So they've got all 3. You can delete the individual layers like that if you accidentally put one in the wrong section. Okay, that's all that done. Right, the final real thing to show you, well, the final thing to show you with editing it, is how to put in all the different columns. Because of course this doesn't have the age, the formation, or the notes or biotobation we put in the actual data sets. So to do that, you go to the preferences, which is that button, or in tools, and you then put in the columns that you want to. You can also rename them if you want to, like if you're going to have, for instance, periods as well as ages. Just okay, so we want the age, we want the formation, we want the notes, and we want the biotobation. We want all of those. Okay, now this has got it all out of order. For instance, you don't really want the scale after the notes and biotobation, because that's a little bit awkward. So you drag these down, up and down, and it will put it below, above, above whatever you have highlighted after while dragging it. So we want age first, then we want formation, and then scale. And these want to go right near the bottom. And notes go at the very end. So that will give us a nice little setup. You can also change the font sizes here if you're finding the text a bit small after you've exported it, which I'll show you in a minute. You can also change the title of it at the top, so call this one the Brighton Coal Measures, assuming I can type. There you go. You can also change all sorts of fun things. Also, you can change what grain size charts are shown. For instance, if you don't have any limestones in your log, you can just make it so it's mud, sand and gravel only, or if you're doing a limestone only body, you can just change it to only limestones. So that's quite useful. We've got both, so I'll leave it as that. You can also change the scale and various sizes. So there's that. So we apply it. Now, there can be a few issues occasionally with overlapping of names. For instance, if I run in here and type Carboniferous, it will probably overlap with that one. So there's no real way to get around this. This is just to sort of delete it and infer that it remains Carboniferous around there until it gets to wherever else you want to put it. Nothing really you can really do about that. However, if I can also demonstrate this, you can change the size of the columns. It's important to note this because it can wind up with things overlapping each other if you don't, because I think on the start it winds up with the things being all in with each other, like here you've got the formations halfway through the scale bar, which isn't particularly what you want. So you can play around with them, give the symbols a bit more space in this. If you've got 3, I mean if you've got 4 you'll need a lot more space than that. You got the notes on it there. And there's your nice little log, all finished. So, how you save it. When you go to save log, it will save it as the proprietary file type, which is .slg. Now this will only be openable by Sedlog as far as I know. It definitely won't be openable by Word or anything, because this is the project file type, if I can call it that, where you can go in and still edit it. So yeah, always save that first. Might as well replace it. Now to get it onto Word or whatever else you want to put it in, if you want to put it in your report or your spreadsheet for whatever reason, you go to the Export Log button. Now this will convert it to whatever file type you want to, but you will not be able to edit it in this file type. So I've called it Demo Glider. And you save that. And then you can import it. I'll demonstrate in a minute after I've shown you one more thing, which is very important. Now, it's not immediately identifiable what all of these symbols mean, and if someone doesn't know, then that's a big problem because it makes it very hard to identify what it's actually showing. So this is why you always have a key when you're doing a log. Here it is. That button there is the easiest way to get to it, and it gives you everything that you have put in. It doesn't give you everything that the program has an option to, luckily, since that list would go on quite a way for the symbols. Yeah, it gives you a rundown of everything you've put in and an explanation of the symbols. You can export this as just like the actual log as a JPEG, so save that so you can put it in with your nice little thing so people can actually understand what you've made. Very important thing. And yes, so I'll just show you what that looks like when you've installed it in something. I did this earlier after a failed recording, and yeah, I'm file, insert, picture, just like you would with edit, so picture, just like you would with most programs. I mean, not many people use OpenOffice when compared to Word, so there's that. But this will let you import it into whatever program you're using, because most anything can use a JPEG. So yeah, that's how you make a nice little log and the key for that log. And that is how you use the basics of Sedlog 3.0. Now, if you want, I can do further videos. I'm very tempted to do one on how you create your own symbols and import them onto it for something it might not have. For instance, if rather than general cephalopods, you want to define goniatites, ceratites, and ammonites separately, for if you're using them as zonal fossils or something. Maybe an explanation of how to use the fasces, or maybe some other small odds and ends in it. If you want something specifically in the program, you can tell me in the comments. And that's pretty much everything. I hope it's been useful. Yeah, the website I'll put in the description. I do believe it's just sedlog.com. Which was created by Royal Holloway University quite a while ago. It's shareware, and look up the Mantel Society online. I do believe it's mantelsoc.co.nr. I'll put it in the description along with our Facebook group as well, Mantel Geological Society. And yes, I think that's everything. Yeah, I hope this has been useful, and I hope you have a good day.